74 years, Brentford will play in the top flight of English football.
Premier League debutants Brentford have had their fair share of ups and downs over the course of their history. Numerous financial crises, great escapes, 9 failed playoff attempts, and don't get me started on the attempted takeover by QPR. One constant throughout those times has been the love and support of its unwavering and loyal fan base, who are revelling in the club's involvement in top-flight football for the first time since 1947.
I was born about 2 miles from here in the very year that Brentford dropped out of the top tier. And if you'd asked me along those 70-odd years, would I ever have expected us to be in the Premier League, I think the honest answer is no.
Been supporting this club for over 40 years. And if you'd asked me 40 years ago if we would be in the Premier League, I'd laugh in your face. If you asked me 15 years ago, 10 years ago, even probably 5 years ago, I'd still laugh in your face. I've seen this club play, like I said, all over the country. The fact that we are in the Premier League is an amazing feeling to see this team and see the fans who've been supporting them for years, to actually watch them play. Honestly, it is marvellous.
Brentford's rise to the elite of English football has been a 9-year undertaking. Their approach in that time has very much differed from the majority of English clubs. The focus on statistics as a way to buying players, as well as scrapping their academy in favour of a B team, are but 2 of the changes the club have made in that time.
The main key component has probably been owner Matthew Benham, who has transformed this club in less than a decade from one that's kind of had fans outside of games, after games, shaking buckets, trying to keep the club afloat. Come in 2012 and just transformed the sort of approach of the club to one that's more statistically minded.
He's a top bloke. He is a Brentford fan, and I think that's first and foremost. It's really important. I mean, he supported Brentford when he was young. He used to bunk off school to go to Brentford games. So he's a very successful business person. You know, he worked in the banking industry, he worked in the gambling industry, he owns a gambling company. He came up to us and said, look, I'll put some money in and I'll help save the club. I'll lend you some money and we'll just see how it goes. After a few years, after he put in quite a lot of money, the Brentford fans went, actually, do you want to buy the club? So he did.
The profile of the club and future revenue have been increased thanks to the creation of Brentford's new stadium, coinciding perfectly with the return of fans to football grounds. A packed-out community stadium witnessed a special night on the opening day of the Premier League, shocking Arsenal on a night to remember for the club and one former LFC Academy player. One man that's bought into the ethos of the club has been manager Thomas Frank. The Dane's passion and no-nonsense approach has won over the Brentford faithful, who couldn't imagine anyone else in charge.
He's a bit of a football intellectual. He talks about mindset, mentality quite a lot of the time, but don't think he's a kind of soft touch, because he also talks about aggression on the field. So, you know, we're as tough as anyone when they need to be. But the other bit is, before COVID, he would regularly sit down with a group of fans in a pub and do an interview for a fanzine or something. So, you know, the idea of a sort of football professor who's also friendly with the fans sounds a bit unlikely, but it's completely genuine, it's completely authentic.
It's a very charismatic character. He was one of the most charismatic, I would say, in the Championship. Rarely seen without a smile on his face. He's always got a joke up his sleeve, witty. He comes across as a very genuine character, and I think a lot of people will have seen after the Arsenal game, as he did his trademark sort of lap of celebration around the pitch, he went straight over to Woody, a Brentford fan with Down syndrome, who a lot of people are aware of these days, and he went and celebrated with him, which shows just what kind of man he is.
Frank and his Bees face their toughest test so far this weekend as they come up against Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. It'll be the first time the Reds have played Brentford in over 30 years, since a 4-0 win over them in an FA Cup quarter-final in 1989. The boss was heavily linked with the top job at TW8 back in 2015 and will make his first trip to the community stadium, knowing Brentford are not going to shy away from the challenge that lies ahead.
I can tell you for sure that the stadium's going to be rocking. I'm not sure many Brentford fans sort of ever anticipated seeing the likes of Mo Salah, Jordan Henderson on the pitch at Brentford. But now they're here and they're going to approach it with this fearless kind of approach.
In a sense, what you have, as you say, is 2 attack-minded teams. You know, we do not sort of stick, you know, we don't park the bus. I think there's going to be lots of amazing moments, and it's, you know, from our point of view, we've got nothing to lose.
The 2 teams that I was really looking forward to playing at New Griffin Park, we call this stadium here, are Arsenal and you've got Liverpool. For them to come down here and be playing on that pitch, it's a real honour. But you know, I'm going to say it as a respect thing. It's a real honour. But at the end of the day, we obviously want to go and beat them.
What I'm certain of is there will be goals in this game, and also what I would say is that some predicted tables had Brentford sort of sat bottom after 8 games, so write them off at your peril.